Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Slangin The Bizkit. This is going to be the episode 8 of the brand new Slangin The Bizkit. I got today's guest for this week's episode, Rob Lalonde, the Frenchman, owner of Buttendz, personal friend of many years, back from episode 4, now for episode 8. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back on the show, man. It's great to be back here with you. And Slangin The Bizkit, my boy Trav.
Rob, why don't you tell people a little bit about who you are? Because I've known you for 7 years. You've been a personal friend, but maybe people have no idea who you are or what you are outside. You got like Guy Fieri, frosted tips, you're ripped, lean, six-pack abs, and surfer dude now.
Thanks a lot, Trav. Well, first of all, just to be sure that if you do have any problems with the audio this week, send all your complaints directly to Trav. We're doing our best here. We got our mic. Trav hooked us up with the mic for the podcast, so I appreciate it. Man, it's good to be back on the show with you, as always. Had a good time on episode 4. What did you say? Who am I? We want to talk about who I am right now? I'm a former professional hockey player. While I was playing, I had an idea to start Buttendz, to start a hockey grip company. I thought it was a really good idea. It was something that I wanted to use as a player that didn't exist. And then I was like, oh man, this is a sick idea. After I stopped playing, my partner Kevin and I created the product, and we've been kind of going ever since. It's been almost 10 years we've been working on the biz, and that's kind of how I crossed paths with you. Looking for ways to market the product many years ago. We bumped into each other online. We became buddies, and honestly, man, you're one of my best friends now. Just through the years, getting to know you. And we've had some great times. We've had some great times together, man. And I love what you do with your channel and what you do to grow your audience, and you're just following your career, and being a part of it through the years has been a lot of fun. And man, it's been awesome. Even I was just telling the story the other day about the time that I drove up to Winnipeg, slept in my car on the way there, and hung out with you, and I got to hang out with your junior B team back in the day and go on a road trip up to the PA. I was just telling somebody the story the other day. It was bringing me back.
Yeah, dude, those were good times. It's hard to believe that was 5 years ago, but I got to say, we've known each other since, I guess, 2022. We met in 2016. Rob is one of the few, in my opinion, obviously this is why he's in the podcast, but he's one of the few genuinely good people in the hockey industry, in the hockey world. I know, a lot of people ask me hey, Rob's a little bit extra. I'm like, hey, that's who Rob is. Rob is an extra kind of guy, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's better than being some of the snake oil salesmen and the weasels out there in the hockey world, because there are so many of them, and I'm really, honestly, just proud to call Rob a friend. And Buttendz too, you and Kevin, Buttendz were one of the first companies that really kind of gave me an opportunity to work with the product and kind of build my YouTube channel at the time when I think I had less than 10,000 subscribers. That was one of the first real videos that I did many years ago.
Yeah, man, I had a great time. Honestly, when we started, we were looking for anybody online that we could work with, anybody that wanted to talk about the product. Any hockey player, even to this day, I'm always looking for ways to get out there and show the product. And getting to meet you and having the opportunity to skate with you up in Winnipeg, I still remember it was like yesterday, man. We were on that little rink, and I was firing biscuits on you. And
dude, one thing we got to talk about. Speaking of exactly that.
Extra? What do you mean by that? Actually, Rob's a little extra.
You're a little bit over the top. You're very loud sometimes. I haven't seen you in about 2.5, almost 3 years because of the COV and whatnot, in person. And I know that in person you are very loud and very top level heavy, shall we say. And I get reminded that every time, when we do the podcast, because your audio levels go level, and then they spike, and then they come back down. So you are a little bit extra, but that's why I love you. That's why.
Yeah, man. Hey, I think it's how you got to be. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get noticed in the world, sometimes you got to be a little loud, and you got people turn their heads and be like, "Who is that?" You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's part of the thing that I've used to kind of grow what we're doing. When you show up to a rink, I did a lot. When we first started the company, man, my whole business strategy was take the product out into the market and have people notice it. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not, loud and in people's faces, a lot of times, you get forgotten about. People won't even notice you. So I guess, use that to my advantage to grow what we're doing here.
Yeah, and I want to get into that for a second. So you did demo days recently with Auston Matthews and Mitch Marner, and we'll get into that in a sec. I want to remind everybody that episode 8 of Slangin The Bizkit is powered by the amazing folks at Sheath, our presenting sponsor. We'll get into the ad break a little bit later, but just a little friendly reminder. And we're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you listen to your podcast. If you like the audio version, leave us a little review on Apple or Spotify. It always helps. If you're on the YouTube version, drop a thumbs up. Subscribe for more video podcasts, because the video version of the podcast is really awesome. The high quality stuff. This isn't a Skype or a Zoom call. It's the real deal. But speaking of real deal, there was a clip going online the other day of you in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. It might have been Scottsdale, wherever the Coyotes practice rink is, the ice den. and Auston Matthews is walking down. You say, hey, Auston, would you like to try Buttendz? Because you are there with the team giving Buttendz demos. And the video, it was the funniest thing ever, because as Matthews walks by, he gives you the time of day and says, oh, hey, man, yeah, I tried Buttendz a couple years ago. It just wasn't for me. But you can tell by the body language, this guy is like, get out of here. Rob, I've seen your stupid TikToks and your stupid grips. I'm not interested. Beat it. But I will give you 5 seconds of my time so that you don't sandbag me. And I pretended like I care. And then the Mitch Marner one was even better, where Mitch Marner didn't even give you the time of day. He just kept walking. Stone cold Steve Auston just walked right by, didn't give you the time of day. You're like, hey, Mitch, you want to try Buttendz? Okay, I'll go myself then. All right.
Keep walking, buddy. No, it was awesome. Yeah, dude, we were real fortunate. It's the second year in a row we got invited out by the Arizona Coyotes to come out to their facility for their they practice in the summers, and there's always a good skate there. A lot of guys spend a lot of time in the summer down there. From all the different teams and skating, and there were actually two groups. The Coyotes had a skate, and then actually Auston Matthews had a group. Obviously, he's from Arizona at the Ice Den in Scottsdale, so I think where he grew up. And he had a skate with a bunch of guys out there. So we actually had like double duty demo day where we were in the very early morning. We had the Coyotes players getting ready to go out, and then we had to race over for the other rink and reset up. We had the opportunity to get in our product in front of a bunch of new guys, and a lot of the same guys that were there last year as well when we went. But we were excited, obviously, going there. Last year when we went, we thought maybe Auston Matthews would be there, but he wasn't. And this year we heard, Auston Matthews is here and he's coming, and I'm like, all right, this is great. Any chance I can have to like get my product, to get Buttendz in front of superstar athletes, obviously it's like a great opportunity. And we've had success in the past. Like we've got the product in front of some guys, superstars, like Patrick Kane, for example, saw our product, and the next thing you know, he wanted us to use it, and they wanted us to make him one. We actually made the Twirl 88 for Patrick Kane, and that was just because we got the product in front of his face. So like having a strong belief in what we're doing, and I love the product. I've always loved it, and I know it's a really good product. I'm excited to show these guys, because I think, hey, there's a really good chance we could flip them, and like the next thing you know, we could get an Auston Matthews or a Mitch Marner or a Tim Stützle using Buttendz. I just got my job as the owner of the company is to get it out there, and like it's one thing to send that stuff in the mail to the teams. We ship samples to the teams, and you never know what's going to happen when it gets there, right? The equipment manager, might have put them out or might have put them in a drawer, and the guys don't see them. But if I'm there and I'm like, hey man, check this out. You know what I'm saying? I'm a hockey player. I know locker rooms. I know how to talk to hockey players, and I'm really that's what we do. Going out to do demos and getting the product in front of these guys is the game. So when we have the opportunity to pitch an Auston Matthews, I'm like pumped. So we go over there. And shout out to my man Carl Lotz and his son Anthony Lotz. They were there with us as well. And Carl's been great at getting demos and doing some West Coast stuff for us. He's like our West Coast representation. He's kind of the one who set up the Arizona opportunity. He was like, Auston Matthews is here, da-da-da. And I'm like waiting for him to come out. I saw they were in the locker room. We had a little setup coming out, and I was like waiting for Auston to come out of the locker room. And honestly, man, like, just to have the opportunity to like, some guys are real receptive. Some guys will come right over. Like we did, I probably did 30 sticks last week at the demo in Arizona, and Auston Matthews is on his way to the rink. It wasn't exactly the best opportunity, I don't think, for me to like kind of get in his way and pitch him, but it's one, he saw him, so I'm like, hey man, check these out. And he said he tried them before, and I assume that if he saw that and he said he tried them, I guess maybe he did, but I wanted to be like, give me an opportunity one more time just to like talk to you a little bit and see what's up.
Well, if I could for 1 second, I watched the video. It came up on my TikTok For You page 3 times this past weekend. I would like to think I'm a very, very good reader of body language and vibes. Every vibe that I got in that video was, do not bother me. I don't care. Go away. But I'm going to pretend like I care. I will pretend for 5 seconds that that's the vibe that I got. And you don't have to say that. That's what I felt.
That's definitely like I was joking around that we got dusted off by Auston Matthews. We got dusted by Mitch Marner. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is, man. Some of the guys were super dope. Like some of the guys have been super receptive, and some guys are just they're in their own thing and they don't want to hear from anybody else about equipment and stuff. And I get it. And on top of that, man, I mean you're talking about Auston Matthews. He's probably the biggest superstar in the NHL. Plays in the biggest market in Toronto, and like this guy is, and Mitch Marner as well, right? These guys are top end athletes who are under a huge microscope in that market. And I don't have, I have, I played in the minors, and I know, even in the minors, man, like you have fans, and sometimes as a player, you try to do your best to like not be around all the fans all the time. So I couldn't imagine what it's like at the superstar level. A guy like Matthews, who everybody wants a piece of this guy. Everybody's always trying to get him to do something or sell him something or get him to promote something. So like, you know, he is probably one of the top guys in the league at avoiding, you know, sales guys like me. Like, he doesn't know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've never.
It is worth mentioning though that you're a former member of the organization. You were in the Toronto organization, granted a few years ago, but you were there. You were, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I played for the Marlies, and you know, but you know, the NHL is kind of an old boys club too, right? So like, playing for the Marlies is not the same as playing for the Leafs. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, though, my boy Anton Strawman was there. He was skating, and you know, I got a little video with him giving me a shout out. So like, back in the Marley days, it was kind of a cool opportunity. But yeah, the Auston Matthews thing, the Mitch Marner thing, those guys are the best at what they do at like avoiding, you know, cameras and avoiding this stuff that they don't want to deal with. So, you know, it was just one of those things, you know, and it's a numbers game for me and for what we're doing. And like, you know, if he doesn't want to check it out, like, I'm on to the next one already. You know what I'm saying? We're going out to LA next week. We're going to be in the Kings locker room on Tuesday. We got invited out there by the equipment staff, and we're really pumped about that. And I'm going to hopefully see my boy Johnny Quick, who I haven't seen in many years. We used to play together back in the day. So, you know what I mean? It would have been cool for a little bit more love, but, we were rocking the specs, and we got the vids, and, like, we had a good time, and I think it was a successful opportunity for us. So, you never know.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. You know who I was talking to the other day? I was talking to Matt Murray, Muzz, my boy, and funny enough, like you mentioned with the whole, you know, Matthews Marner thing, trying to avoid the media. So I was texting. We were actually started the conversation off. We're talking about like the new Tim Hortons, like the Tim Biebs and the Timbits, and he's like, bro, like, the Tim Biebs suck. Just classic. Like, no honey dip, just the old-fashioned birthday cake and the chocolate dip. That's the kind of guy that Matt Murray is. But long story short, so we ended up talking about doing another podcast because he was on the old podcast with previous co-host, and I told him, hey, like, maybe we'll do another podcast sometime this calendar year. And he says, I would love to do a podcast in person at Christmas time. And I said, well, actually, I'm going to be in Detroit in about 2.5 weeks. I'm sure we could weasel something, whether, you know, you come down to Detroit or I come see you for the day and we get something done. And he's like, dude, I have literally been blowing off TSN, Sportsnet, all these things. Everybody wants to have me on their podcast and do all this kind of stuff. And I'm not for it. Like, I don't want the media. I don't want all this kind of stuff. And if I do that for you, they're going to come after me even harder. But if I wait till Christmas time, I can kind of bend the rules a little bit. So apparently he's going to come on the podcast. We're going to do it in person when at Christmas time. And he's going to avoid all the TSN, the Sportsnets, and the CBC podcast and all the mainstream media from now until then, which is probably great for him because when we did the last podcast, he was just happy to not answer a million and one questions about, hey, your glove hand's terrible. How do you fix that? Hey, how do you feel about going to Toronto? How does it feel about being a cup champion with, you know, all of these like stupid questions people ask him as opposed to just like, what kind of truck do you drive? What do you think of the new Tim Biebs? He loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, it's a testament to what you're doing, man. Keep it up. You know, it's comfortable to come on your show, and like you know, if you're making pros feel comfortable, that's obviously a good thing. So, yeah, that's cool, man. The last Matt Murray episode was great, and I'm looking forward to part 2 for sure.
Some of the comments on that last episode, so if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, the last episode with Matt Murray, this is back, I guess, in like June or whatnot, and so he had just moved from Ottawa to Muskoka, so he spends time at Muskoka in his like summer cottage mansion, whatever, wherever he's living, but he's like, but they're just getting internet dialed up in this area that I'm living in, like we don't have great internet, and so he's got this amazing place, amazing vehicle and everything, but he's got no like quality Wi-Fi. And some of the comments about, oh, I didn't know Matt Murray Skypes in on a PS2, or oh, I didn't know Nintendo DS's still had cameras. Like some of the comments, Matt Murray chiming in on a cheese grater. Like some of the comments are pretty funny about his video quality. But
no, you helped me though. Like just doing the Slangin The Bizkit with you, bro. Like you're the pro, bro. You hooked me up. You got the mic set up here. I just went out and got a new iPad. I want to make sure everything was tip top. You know what I'm saying? Because like you're putting out content, like, but it's tough. You never know. You work with people, and like you said, they're using at-home cameras. Like, I got 3 cameras going right now, a little mic set up just to keep up with your game here.
We like it. Well, also on that note, I just want to say thank you very much to everybody listening to the podcast, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You're in the car, you're at the gym, you're in the rink. There's first I just shout out to Nina. She's been a day one listener to the podcast. She's an X-ray tech in Utah. She listens to the podcast on her breaks. Just everybody who's been listening to the podcast, the audio version has been really growing. Viewership wise, the last little bit, the YouTube podcast, when the previous version of the podcast ended, I think had like 1,500, 1,600 subscribers on YouTube, now almost 3,000. So if you're listening, thank you so much for giving the new podcast an opportunity and just being a part of this. This is my favorite thing to do every week. I love having a conversation with Rob Wheeler when he's on. Wheeler's off this week, obviously.
Yeah, it's great, man.
You know who I love doing the podcast for? The amazing folks at Sheath, which is actually our presenting sponsor. So we get to talk to you about Sheath. And I'll tell you right now, Auston Matthews, he could use a pair of Sheath underwear. I heard that guy was trying to avoid you because he had a sweaty, stinky mess on the side of his leg, stuck to his leg like a piece of gum on a high school desk. And here's how he could have fixed that. Now, maybe Auston Matthews is packing. Maybe he's got an east-west problem. Maybe he's got a north-south problem. But the problem is it sticks to the side of your leg. Long days on the job, long days at the rink, long days whatever you're doing, it gets sweaty, it sticks to the side of your leg. Well, Sheath have re-engineered the underwear game. They have what they call a dual pouch. So they have a spot for your biscuit and for your twig to go in. They are compartmentalized. They are separated so they have room to breathe. They are aerated. They physically cannot stick to the side of your leg if you put them into this pouch. Let's say you have more of an east-west problem. You can't fit it into the pouch. Not a problem. The Sheath underwear is designed to be worn normally, but you still will not have those problems. And the Sheath underwear, also, the bamboo mesh that they have on their stuff, it is cooling. It is the best in the game. And right now, if you go to the link in the video description on the YouTube video podcast or the show notes on the Apple Spotify podcast, the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69, our favorite thing to do in the off season, will get you 20% off the best underwear in the game, the best money can buy at sheathunderwear.com. Thanks to Sheath for sponsoring the podcast and being our presenting sponsor, keeping it possible. This podcast is impossible without Sheath.
Wow, great ad read, Trav. Really, best I've heard. I think you might be right, man. Get Matthews some better underwear. Get him some Sheath underwear, and maybe he's feeling a little looser, feeling a little cooler. Maybe not so uptight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's be honest though. Like if I was at the rink in Scottsdale, it's hot, it's humid, and you hassled me to, hey, you want to try Buttendz? If my twig and my biscuits are stuck to the side of my leg, dude, I ain't giving you the time of day. If I was wearing Sheath at the moment, yeah, Rob, sure. Show me all the grips. I got all the time in the world because I am separated, I'm compartmentalized, and I am breathing under there. Thanks to the most amazing folks at Sheath. The next thing I wanted to get into that I wanted to talk to you about was the UFC fights the past 2 weeks. I know we're a hockey-based podcast, but I love the UFC, the fight game, all that kind of stuff. The fights this past weekend, Rob and I were talking about this. We were going to watch Diaz, Chimaev, and Rob was like, I hate Nate Diaz. I want to see this guy get submitted. When they changed the lineup last minute to Diaz versus Ferguson and Chimaev versus Holland, I was so excited. So if you weren't following the UFC this past weekend, they had a huge fight breakout behind the backstage before the press conferences. Dana White says, listen, we have guys missing weight. We have had fights. We have crews of 50, 60 guys. We got to change the lineup up. So last minute, they changed it up to Diaz versus Ferguson, Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz, and Khamzat Chimaev, who is, people seem to think he's going to be the next champion, versus Kevin Holland. And Kevin Holland is a third-degree black belt. 2 seconds into the fight, Khamzat shoots for the takedown. And Rob, did you not describe it this exact same way, that he literally mauled this guy? Khamzat mauled Kevin Holland and made him look like kind of what my black belt jiu-jitsu instructor in Winnipeg would do to me on a Sunday afternoon. Just worked him with ease like a pretzel. It was incredible.
Dude, I thought it was sick, man. Chimaev, just the way that to me was obviously the main event. You know what I mean? Seeing Chimaev, he's the GOAT right now, man. Like, he's sick. The way he handled that fight. I was looking forward to the Diaz fight. I mean, I don't hate Diaz. I just feel like I like what Diaz brings to the fight game. I think he's overrated. I just think he's a little overrated as a fighter, personally. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. What do you think, man?
I loved, first off, watching the fight. I love, like, he's taking breaks. Like, he's just sitting against the side of the cage.
You like that, dude? Man, I couldn't even, like, I don't know. His fight to me when I watched it with Ferguson, who, like, I guess, I don't know, man. Ferguson, too, he's a little past it. Like, he was kind of in the prime maybe before COVID. Then he took a couple L's. And I don't know if he's at the top of his game anymore. But, like, Diaz bent over at the cage, like, up doing that whole game. Like, I don't know, man. And then he had the submission in the fourth round. But, like, it almost... not gonna say it was fixed, but the whole thing kind of felt funny. Like, the guy randomly misses weight. This Chimaev guy who's like world class champion misses weight. I don't know, and then like Diaz ends up fighting Ferguson.
He's never fought at 170 before. He's only fought at 185, I believe. I could be wrong. Somebody can fact check me, but he had never fought at 170, and he missed weight by I think 8.5, 9 pounds. He said the doctors told him to stop. He said he could have made weight, but I mean, Is he really going to tell you, oh, you know what? Yeah, I wasn't going to make weight. I was totally off. I was not prepared. He's not going to tell you that.
Well, I don't know. I saw a comment in there, people saying that the UFC like organized it so that they could save Diaz. So like it makes sense in a way from a money perspective, right? Like have Diaz beat up Ferguson, get another win. Almost like, and that fight was like watching two guys spar to me. It wasn't really my favorite fight. I didn't really, and then like even just the end of it, like it happened so fast. Like he all of a sudden chokes him out, and Ferguson taps in like 2 seconds. I don't know. To me, it seemed a little weird. I mean, and now Diaz takes another big win, right? And then Chimaev, obviously, man, he turned a lot of heads. Like I didn't know a ton about him before that fight, but watching him, I mean, he reminds me. He looks like somebody that could be like a world champion, like as far as his skill. Like he mauled that dude, and that other guy was a tough guy. Now all of a sudden,
hold on for a second. When your nickname is the Boar, like, yeah, you're gonna maul dudes. Like, and also the stat that I threw at you the other day on FaceTime, in his last 4 wins, 3 of them he has not been touched one time. Imagine that. Imagine that. You go into a UFC fight, a main fight, and you literally come out of the fight fresher than when you came in. 2 minutes of work, put him in a choke. I believe it was a front neck choke. I can't remember the terminology they used for it. And he's not touched. And then his previous fight with Gilbert Burns tagged him 119 times. But the other 3 wins, not one time did he get touched. I think that's just incredible. And we're talking about the best of the best. Like all these guys are black belts. All these guys are skilled craftsmen. And they didn't touch him.
Well, the announcers were saying too, man, which made a good point. It was like he wasn't worried at all about getting touched. He wasn't worried about losing. He went right after the dude. And like just the way, if you watch it in slow motion, the way that he controlled the fight, where he like literally was like slithering on the guy, like, you know what I mean, like following him around, like the guy was squirming underneath him, and it was just like boom, boom. 2 minutes in the fight, it's over, man. I was like, wow.
I thought the most impressive part there was when he shot right away, and they're flipping around in the air, and still like with all that momentum, the levels changing, right? The computer's changing as both of them are moving. His computer is still able to figure out, okay, I still know how to put him in the choke, and he gave him no room to breathe. It was literally like an anaconda versus like a chihuahua kind of like comparison of like, it was incredible to watch. Even my dad was watching. My dad was like, I have never I'm 26, so in my 66 years of life, I have never seen a fight dominated like that. Like incredible fight. But on that note, back to the Diaz fight, I loved, I know you didn't love it, the fact that it was like 3 rounds of sparring on the feet, kicks, just jabs and whatnot. In the 4th round, Ferguson shoots for the takedown. Diaz is a 3rd degree black belt, throws him in the choke, and so he's got him in the choke. And I saw the funniest meme ever. He puts him in the choke, taps, and right away he's flexing with his like West Coast, like, what's up, kind of like Nate Diaz flex. And I saw this meme that came out, so like he has Ferguson kind of in his crotch, and he's flexing, and the caption was, when you're Netflix and chilling with your girl, but one of your boys walks in, he's like, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
No, Diaz. I think Diaz is good for the game, and again, like after now, everybody still wants to see that fight, all right? And don't they make that fight eventually? I mean, that was really the war going in. They had the big backstage brawl. I mean, Diaz is a brawler. You want to see the toughest guy fight Chimaev.
Well, he's a West Coast gangster, as he calls himself. I know he didn't want to fight McGregor, but he has a good point. Like McGregor has won 1 fight since 2016.
Who didn't want to fight McGregor? Diaz.
Diaz, like, why am I going to fight McGregor? He's been
we already saw that twice, dude. You know what I mean? And he already beat McGregor. McGregor hasn't won a fight since like 2015, bro.
Literally, he has not won a fight since Barack Obama left office in the U.S. Think about that. That is how long it's been since he's won a fight. He might have won 1, but I believe I saw a stat the other day that it was 0. But the chirping that they had on Twitter, so Diaz calls him out after and is like, I'm going to leave the UFC for a bit. I'm going to go compete something else. I'm assuming boxing. I'm going to show people how it's supposed to be done because Conor McGregor couldn't do anything. And McGregor, obviously, goes to Twitter and says, shut your mouth, kid. Shut your mouth. I'm the king of the game. Respect the king, as obviously McGregor does. But at the same time, it's like you make it seem like Nate Diaz didn't make you tap and make you look childish. Like how I thought in the Diaz-McGregor fight when he tapped him out in the 2nd round, I thought he made it look like easy work. Easy work. But that's just that was just my opinion. I know we missed the Usman Edwards fight, that kick to the head. Like that was an insane walk-off fight. Like I watched the whole fight start to finish. Edwards had nothing going on the whole night except, I mean, he took Usman's back for a little bit in the first round, had nothing, a minute left in the fifth round, fight was going to be over. Usman, defends his title, kick to the side of the head and just knocks him out cold, like a walk-off, like boom, and he's done. And that was an incredible fight.
Yeah, that's the best part about the UFC, man, is that guys can, you know what I mean? You're never out of it, and, like, it just takes one shot and you're out, you know what I mean? Like,
something I've seen a lot in, but the hockey media and whatnot. I personally think that the hockey media is so boring in the sense of, like, they do mid-game interviews, they do post-game interviews, and it's just the same. Yeah, we're trying to outwork the other team, like all the BS. You know what I mean? Like you've seen the same answer for 30 years. And if you listen to the last podcast with Matt Murray, he told on the podcast that, hey, like, I'm just looking to not give you something so that you don't make a buzzword headline and try to make me look bad. And so that's every single interview, it seems like, in the NHL. You get one or two interviews a year that pop off. Great. The UFC, I have watched probably more UFC fights in the last 6 months than hockey games that I've watched probably in the last 3 years. Like even the women's fights, the up kick, heel kick to the liver for the women's main fight the other night was incredible. Like the UFC is by far my favorite sport, and to be honest, I'm kind of getting tired of watching hockey. I mean, I don't mind the European hockey, but the NHL, I'm out. I'm done with that. I'm not interested.
Done with the NHL?
Like, as far as, like, watching, like, why, like, if I want to go to a game, it's going to cost me about $100 for a ticket. I go to with, let's say, like, a lady friend, $200. Parking, you got to get a hot dog. I don't drink personally, but I'm going to bury a Coke Zero, maybe two. I'm spending $300, maybe $350 for an NHL game. Why would I do that? I could get the pay-per-view on UFC for $70. I'm going to be honest, I stream it for free. I got an amazing site with all that kind of. If anybody wants the streaming website, send me an Instagram message. I'll send it over. But it's amazing, HD quality, fantastic streams. It's free. You Uber Eats, you order a pizza, whatever, and it's great. As opposed to the NHL, where it's like, I'm just not entertained. I'm just not. Like, I love playing hockey. I always have. I always will. But I'm kind of burnt out of watching the same NHL formula.
What do you think the hockey could do to bring you back as a fan then? Like, what do you think is the problem with the game? Like, you mentioned the interviews from the players, like more access. Like, what makes you interested in hockey again?
Politics do not belong anywhere in sports. You can have people that say, well, they're a player, but they're also human beings. Great. Well, guess what? I don't tune in to the Jets-Leafs game because I want to hear some guy rant and rave to me about politics and the woke left and what they believe in. I want to watch hockey because that's my escape. If I wanted to learn about politics or watch the news, I would turn on the news. I come to watch hockey. I want to see the best of the best. I want to learn something. I want to be entertained. I want to be educated on the game. And I want to leave with a good vibe and a smile on my face and feel like I got value for the time that I invested and or the money that I invested. But when it seems like every corner I turn, you got CBC giving me a lecture on how I need to be up to date on my shots, if you know what I'm talking about. You have, like, seriously, they've done that. There was a clip I listened to a couple months ago about, I think it was Ty Domi. I think he had like a job offer with TSN or whatever, and they said, hey, we want you to go on and do a piece on how everybody needs to do their part to. And I'm not going to rehash it because I'm tired of hearing that. I'm sure everybody listening is. And he's like, why? I'm not going to do that. Like that. Like I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear about the political side of things. I don't want to hear about, like, I want to watch sports. And in the UFC, you have a lot of guys who are like heavy Trump lovers. That's fine. Yeah, everybody can, see whatever way, what's slice of the pie they want. But I'm coming to watch the fights. And I get the fights. I get my entertainment. I get my escape. And I think, the best entertainment in the world by far. It's never a dull moment. Women's fights, men's fights, the press conferences, the weigh-ins, everything is world class. The NHL, I'll watch a little bit of the playoffs, but I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of all the BS that's affiliated with it. I really am.
I feel like I hear what you're saying in a lot of ways. I'm a little jaded in my view because I've been really excited recently, like in the last few years, having guys in the league using our stuff and like having, kind of being able to turn on the TV and see a player use Buttendz keeps me really excited, keeps me really into the game. We we always joke around about the interviews, and like you said, Matt Murray even told you, like, your job in an interview is to not put a headline in the newspaper the next day. That's going to, especially, you're in a locker room with a team. You got 30 guys on the team plus coaches. It's a lot different than like the individual sport, like fighting, where you're trying to like sell yourself and create an identity for your team or your fight persona. Hockey's all about the team and, playing for the crest. And like, you don't want to, say anything that's going to get, the rest of the boys or make the boys look bad and stuff. Like, you're not going to go out there and like sewer your teammates in an interview. which is what the fans probably want. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to have controversy, so it's kind of competing forces there, if you will. But
I agree, but hold on for a sec. When I listen to an interview as a fan, I want to learn something. I want to be educated. And whether you're a hockey fan, let's say like my dad, who has never really played the game but loves hockey, or you're me, who is in the thick of things, I want to learn something. I want value. And when I hear guys tell me, yeah, we just gotta chip pucks in deep, get pucks to the net, like I literally get stupider listening to that. I literally gain nothing out of that. And I'm stoked for you. You get to mingle with the players and pitch butt ends, and that's great. But if one of the players was trying out a grip and says, Rob, who'd you vote for last election? Let's talk politics. I'm sure you probably would never want to have the guy in your grip in the grips ever again, because you come to do hockey, and they come for hockey. I don't come for the news or any of that kind of stuff. And it's just that's my 2 cents. I wish that it would all just go away from sports. I was going to swear there. My dad doesn't want me swearing on the podcast, and I'm going to stop doing that. I know I have a swearing problem. But
wait, did you just swear? I didn't even hear. I didn't catch it.
No, I was going to, but I stopped.
Oh, all right,
self-control,
nice catch,
discipline, bro. A little discipline. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of catches, let's do a little transition here to the next ad, our next sponsor, the amazing folks at Manscaped.com. Manscaped is back. Manscaped is awesome. The Lawnmower 4.0. Speaking of catches, I have a date actually later tonight. I just was working my lawnmower in the men's room about an hour ago, and here's why. So the Manscaped team, they have the Lawnmower 4, and it is absolute cutting edge. They have skin-safe technology, so whether you're trimming your chest, trimming your stomach, your arms. I got heat on the other night. I went for a date. I trimmed my arms so I look a little bit more vascular because I lost all that weight this summer. The lady says, you look like a woman with your arms and your legs trimmed. I said, I look vascular. She's like, no, you need some hair on your chest. I said, okay. So I'm going to let it grow out a bit. But I ended up trimming my beard a little bit this morning, and it looks fantastic. It is easy to do. The battery life is incredible in the Manscaped lawnmower, and it's precise. I got a number 1 on the sideburns. I got a number 2 down on the jawline or the cheek line, and then I got a number 4 with the beard. I try to get like the Kurt Cobain defined jaw look, and you can do it too. You go to manscaped.com, use the promo code BIZKIT, BIZKIT. It's going to get you 20% off, free shipping. The amazing team at Manscaped will take care of you today. There's going to be a link in the video description again with that link, or in the podcasting notes. And thanks to Manscaped for powering the podcast. The lawnmower is awesome.
Another nice read, Trev. Hey, Trev, I think what the fans really want to know is, do you trim your balls and then your face?
No, I'll let you know in the game. So I have 2/3 pieces. So I have one lawnmower for my face. So basically like neck north. I taper the beard, all that kind of stuff. I have another one for basically from the neck down, and then everybody's built a little bit differently. Right, so like sometimes I have to get in with a number 1. Sometimes I can get away with down to the wood. But I have my whole, So we got to be careful sometimes because I'm a little bit misshapen down below. I don't know if I should be telling people that. My dad's gonna listen and be like, "What has happened?"
Wait, so you have two. So you're saying you have separate razors? You keep a separate clipper for your face, or you just have a different guard, or?
Both. So I have a whole kit for my face. I have a whole kit for my neck north. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess when you got the Manscaped, you got the Manscaped hookup, it's not a big deal for you. Eh?
I mean, my previous girlfriend, she would make like a cup of cleaning alcohol, and she'd like dip my lawnmower in there, and then be like, okay, now you can do your beard. Makes sense, right? It's just like an alcohol cleaning solution.
Some people are weird about it. You know what I mean? Like, you just got to be careful. I personally don't have a problem with completely just I just have one, right? Like.
I don't want junk face though, and I also like you're clean shaven. I got the beard, so I don't want like you know what I mean. I don't want like crabs or anything on my beard, so I just try to stay clear of that. But
or don't get crabs anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah. We don't want it anywhere, but also the like when you take the lawnmower and you like run it in like the alcohol cleaning solution, like turn it on, it gets all the hair that's stuck in there out, and it's a way cleaner cleaner trim. If anybody's looking for tips, it's a awesome tip of the pros there. Speaking of which, I had a little bit of an update in my dating life that I think you might like. I got 2 stories for you.
Speaking of crabs.
Let me tell you about it. So my trainer, Brian, he always reminds me of this story. This is actually probably around the time when we first met. This is like 2016. Had a date with this girl. Go to pick her up. This is the time when I owned a vehicle. I don't own a vehicle now. Now I have a bike. But I owned a vehicle back then. Picked her up. Said, hey, I got to run a quick errand. You mind? Yeah, not a problem. I drive from her place to the gym. Park out front. leave the vehicle running. I run inside, and Brian was working at this gym at this same time, and he says, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I got a hot date." He's like, "Oh, what time are you going to pick her up?" I said, "Oh, she's in the car right now." He's like, "Well, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I got a quick chest, quick shoulder pump. I'll be 20 minutes." So literally, I picked her up, drove to the gym, threw it in park, threw my hazards on, left it running because it's cold in the middle of winter. Got a quick 20-minute pump with her in the vehicle. Came out all sweaty. She's like, "What were you doing there?" "Oh, I was just doing some paperwork. It's all good." Paperwork? Yeah, paperwork. So that's Brian and I talk about that all the time. That may be one of the best date stories ever. And things went well on that date too. I still remember that date. She was a cool girl. She lives in Calgary now. But I have a date tonight, and so I met this girl recently. I refer to her as my future wife. And if you're watching the YouTube vlog, this will be coming up. There'll be some clips coming up in the vlog shortly. But really cool girl, beautiful blonde. She used to work as a trainer. Now she's like a personal trainer. Now she's an employment facilitator. Recent career switch, and she's 6 feet tall, beautiful, tall, athletic looking girl. And we went for pizza and coffee, kind of walk around the Vancouver seawall the other night. Great first date, probably one of the best first dates, if not the best first date I've ever had. Like vibes were going, sparks were flowing. There was chemistry. We had a lot in common. She was, in my opinion, just as crazy as I am. Like I'm very OCD, ADHD, and she is like just as much. So it's just a fireball of squirrely conversations. Like ooh, shiny. You know what I mean? So it worked out nicely. And I'm going on another date with her tonight. I'm cooking dinner for her tonight. Going to her place. I got about an hour and a half commute. I got to hop on the bus to the SkyTrain to the C bus in Vancouver, to the other side of the downtown, and then gonna go to her place, cook dinner. And so originally she wanted French toast, and I said I make an amazing French toast because we're doing breakfast for dinner. Get a nice sourdough loaf. I usually do protein French toast, but because I'm really trying to wow, maybe I'll do like a regular French toast, a little milk, a little egg, extra egg yolk so it's a little rich. Throw it down, pan fried some butter, sprinkle cinnamon on top, and then reduce a little bit of maple syrup, so it's like a super concentrated maple syrup sauce, a little bit of melted brown butter on top, and then chef's kiss. It can be fantastic. She changed her mind up last minute, about 2 days ago. She says, "I want breakfast poutine." And I says, "Okay, my French toast game is tight, but my breakfast poutine game is even tighter." And if you're an American, you maybe don't know what breakfast poutine is. Basically, you got breakfast hash browns. You probably should do them cubed, but you can do them shredded. I love shredded hash browns. Poached eggs, caramelized onions, sauteed peppers, cheese curds, hollandaise sauce, and then sausage or bacon. So that's going to be our date night tonight. I'm going to go pick up some pumpkin spice lattes at the SkyTrain station, bring them over when I go to see her, let her know that I was thinking about her tonight, and then go make dinner, and hopefully things will go well tonight.
Wow, Chef Trav going in, man. All right. You doing your own hollandaise sauce or what?
Of course I'm scratching. I'm going to reduce a little bit of white wine vinegar, a little bit of Frank's Red Hot, maybe like some minced up shallots with some fresh herbs. Reduce that down, strain it, throw it into the yolks, whisk in that butter, one drip at a time. I'm going to try to go some brown butter so we get some depth of flavor.
Wow.
Just try to put on a showmanship.
Yeah, it's making me hungry right now, man. This sounds good.
I know, a little breakfast poutine. It's pretty good, dog.
Does everybody know what a savage chef you are?
No, I don't like to flex that. I like to show.
Yeah, you got it out there a little. You got it on your YouTube show.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little rundown. So out of high school, well, actually, while I was in high school, I went to culinary school. So I did like a year of like culinary trade school. Funny story. So I did it with my best friend in high school at the time. We were looking at like options for like courses, like, oh, you can do like trade school for a year instead of like actual school. I said, oh, that's awesome. And imagine that we could pick up some chicks. Like we could literally learn how to cook, pick up girls. Great. So we both signed up. First day of culinary school. It's like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm downstairs in the bakery. I was like, why are you in the bakery? He signed up for baking. I signed up for culinary by accident. We mixed it up. But so anyway, so I did the year of culinary school. Hated it because it was tough. It was real life. I went from like, the hockey kind of lifestyle where like you kind of get everything handed to you to like now I'm working for a chef who like wants things done a certain way. He's kind of yelling at me, like cracking the whip on me. And it was good for discipline and that kind of stuff. And I remember he told me one day, he's like, you're not cut out for this. Like you're not going to last in the culinary world. And I said, obviously being me, I said, okay, all right, challenge accepted. I'm going to do this. So right out of that, I started working on my apprenticeship for cooking, and I ended up doing 3 years of cooking. I worked at some different restaurants, and then specifically about a year and a half as being like a breakfast guy, like a breakfast cook at different like restaurants, hotels, tapas places, breakfast joints, all this kind of stuff. And this, my last breakfast job we had like a pastry chef, and chef one day said, "Hey, pastry chef quit. You want to help me do some pastries?" I was like, "Sure." So I ended up doing the pastries kind of on and off, after my breakfast shift for a couple months. And I was like, "This is kind of cool." So then I started getting into baking, and then I worked 2 jobs baking, at the commercial places, but Sobeys and then a Co-op, which is like a Safeway in Winnipeg. I did that for a year, loved it, and then moved away for college hockey at VIU. And so I would say now, at this point in time, I did 4 years of cooking and baking. I could cook or bake literally anything you want in your wildest dreams. And if we're being honest, in my experience of all the women that I have gone on dates with and encountered, I can think of maybe 2 that can actually cook, like, period. Like, most of them burn grilled cheese. They reduce water to nothing. Like it's kind of scary, like, how few women know how to cook. But I know how to cook, so it's not a problem. You'll never have to starve. And so, because they don't maybe have the skill sets to cook, basically, if I made craft dinner, they would be impressed. But then I go the extra mile, say, you know what? I'm going to make my own pasta. I'm going to make my own sauce. I'm going to bake the mac and cheese. We're going to do a maple bacon mac and cheese, stuff like that. And it always works out nice. And then followed up with, hey, your shoulders were sore. What if I gave you a back massage? And then obviously from there, it's a win no matter what way you go.
That's what's up, man. Yeah, dude. You hit him with the reduction maple syrup game, and you know what I mean. That's all you need to do.
I mean, maple syrup, hold on for a sec. I got to be very clear. We were talking 100% maple syrup. We're not talking the fake Aunt Jemima, the Mrs. My mom loves Mrs. Butterworth. Every time I see her having pancakes with Mrs. Buttersworth, I'm like, what is wrong with you? That's literally cancer and corn syrup in a bottle. Just stop that shit. So 100% real maple syrup. It costs a little bit of money, and if you reduce it even more, it costs even more money. But when you have a girl that's as beautiful as the one that I'm going on a date with tonight, you got to pull at all the stops and do that kind of stuff. Also, one thing I was going to mention too, I guess this is one of the things that we can cap off with before we finish the podcast. But so my girl, her name is Victoria, beautiful name, beautiful girl. So she's 6 feet tall, and her and I were talking the other day about, I'm 6'5", she's 6 feet, her brother is 6'8". What if we reproduced? And let's say, so she wants 3 kids. She wants 2 boys, 1 girl. We have 3 attempts. One of them is a boy, let's say. What if we created a boy who is 6'6", 6'7"? That's an automatic NBA draft pick. Could probably play defensive line for the Las Vegas Raiders. And with a little bit of coaching, could get drafted in the Western Hockey League, probably play NCAA D1 and become a National Hockey League goaltender. And I said, listen, pro hockey, there's a shelf life. I got maybe 5 years, 10 years or less before the hips and the knees give out and it's time for me to move on. What if we invested and created our own wealth? We produced this kid who's going to cost you a couple bucks because he's going to be a bigger kid, have more groceries, but we created this NBA super baby and goes, full ride to Virginia Tech or to Duke, plays in the NBA, and then that is our retirement plan. And what if we had 3 of them? And she's like, wow, I've never talked to a man who thought this far in advance. I said, yeah, we got to reproduce and invest in our own future. The world's changing. The world is going crazy these days. And so that's an amazing concept. And then I told Pascal, my goalie coach, the other day, and he says, brother, you give me one goalie who is 6'4" taller, I'll put him in the National Hockey League. That'll be your future retirement and good for business for me. So everybody's going to win here.
That's diabolical, man. You got a breeder on your hands. That's good. I can't believe you already got that conversation going with her, too. That's before you even got to date 2. But, hey, you got there.
I mean, we're already planning date 3, and we're talking about kids, and we're talking about she wants to move to like a smaller town, like outside of the city, but not quite like country. Just kind of like the best of both worlds. And I think there's some potential, but there's also some potential with this podcast because we do new episodes every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. in Winnipeg, 9 a.m. in Calgary, 8 a.m. in Vancouver, 11 p.m. in China and Australia. I believe we're doing 4 p.m. in Sweden, the whole Scandinavian thing, 3 p.m. if you're in the UK. And I want to say thanks for listening. Rob, thanks for joining me. Rob Lalonde.
As always. Thanks a lot, bro. Super fun.
Yeah, and if you want to get more of the podcast, new episodes every Sunday. We have the Instagram page, the Slangin The Bizkit Instagram page. If you want to see the clips, I'm posting everything on my TikTok. If you get a chance, give us a little review on Apple or on Spotify, or drop a thumbs up on the YouTube video version. Would love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Let's create a conversation. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we talked about. And thanks to Sheath and Manscaped for partnering on the podcast, the presenting sponsors at Sheath. And we will see you next Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern for Slangin The Bizkit episode 9 with I Don't Know Who. Have a good night.